correct here. Weight distribution. The other thing biomechanically I'm going to do is check your wingspan relative to your height, because that will affect how you should swing the club. The other thing is you want to stack your load-bearing joints. So your ankles, your hip sockets, and your shoulder sockets should pretty much be in a plumb line. You're pretty close there. At least your ankles and hips are. But still a little bit too much side bend here. So that's affecting, because if we put a line here at straight down, that's the bottom of your swing, which is a little behind the ball at this point. Now as you strike the ball, good position there. You don't have really any significant issues as it relates to up or down or sideways. And what I mean is your head doesn't move significantly up, sideways, down, sideways. Yeah, that's pretty still. Right here, you move a little forward of the original position, so you slide in front of it. And then as a result of your head getting in front of the ball, or in front of its original position,
gotcha.
Now you have to utilize your hands to somehow square the face up. Which is in large part why you're pushing a lot of shots to the right, is that lateral shift of your upper body moving toward the target. So there's your impact position, which isn't bad at all, except, believe it or not, in golf, it's a game of inches, and you're moving in front of it about 3 or 4 inches.
Okay.
You see that line?
Yeah.
Okay. Then here's your original position, and here's impact. So you're moving a little forward there. So that has an effect on your shot. So you need to stay behind it a little better. Think a little more rotational in terms of, initially on the downswing, you want to feel rotation from the waist down. Your knees, your feet push against the ground. Your feet push against the ground. Your knees move. Now, I'm not saying there isn't a lateral component. There is. Okay. But it's only about 7 to 10 inches in the pelvis. And then the hips rotate about 40 degrees or 50 degrees in a perfect world. Now, that doesn't really affect the club face. Face angle is 80% of direction with a driver, 75%. It's an algorithm based on velocity. So, anyway, to what's pertinent is let's just not shift in front of the ball.
Yeah, okay.
Everything else is nice. You have some footwork. The right foot, it sounds small, but this foot doesn't really do the right thing here, the right foot.
Yeah.
The ankle should roll inward,
yeah.
And the heel should be in front of the toe. You see how, so we're going to flare the right foot so the heel's in front of the toe a little bit.
More like that?
Yeah, that'll help with the footwork. Now, again, this isn't a huge deal. Face angle and feel for where the club face is critically important. You want a flat left wrist at impact. You don't want a lot of bending in the left elbow or left wrist. So as you strike the ball, let me just show you what some of the guys look like so you have some visual representation. Let's look at someone with your build. What are you, 5'10"?
Yeah, 5'9", 5'10".
All right. You about 160 maybe?
No, I wish 170.
All right.
I hide it well.
You're in good shape, though. For a lawyer, who spends a lot of time reading a bunch of stuff. Sitting at a desk reading.
Yeah.
All right, so... okay, so here's a guy that his name is Francesco Molinari. He's on the European tour. He's about 5'9", 170. But the only thing I really want to call attention to that's slightly different than what you're doing is his initial move as he goes back. You're doing all the right things here. The swing might be maybe just a little bit, what I call, you lose your radius. So your hands could be further away from your body. Okay. You see, notice how his hands are slightly further away from his head, so he's pushing his hands out a little more. That creates what we call width. Okay, so think of a rock on the end of a string. If I took, I'll just do an illustration here. If I did this, the center of your axis would be right here. The length of your arm, whatever that length is, we'll call it 33 inches.
Yeah.
You want to maintain that. So yes, the right arm bends to some degree, but it doesn't overbend because then you collapse your arms.
Yep.
So you want You know, so if you have a rock on the end of a string, the faster you turn, you spin your hand, the more speed you get in the rock. But so what he's going to do here is, as he comes into the ball, watch his footwork. I'll tie some of this together. He actually initiates the downswing from the ground up. There's a lateral shift and a rotation, and then the right foot kind of rolls in, and then what we call impact alignments. What we're looking for, what I'm looking for in a good player, is a flat left wrist. A flat left wrist. The palm of the right hand is perpendicular to the ground, pointing at the target. Yeah, there's a slight angle in the back of the right wrist. So, as you alluded to earlier about unloading the shaft prematurely, let's look at that, because I don't think you do it.
Okay.
From the top of the swing, he's going to retain his wrist cock to where the shaft is parallel. The left arm being parallel to the ground, we'll call that 3 o'clock. He's got a fair amount of load on the shaft. In other words, the angle between the left arm and shaft is pretty much 90 degrees. I don't think you lose that angle significantly. So I wouldn't call that a problem yet. Now, there's a possibility you may unload it. No, I think you retain your wrist cock pretty good there.
Okay.
Your right elbow should be reattached to your rib cage.
That's what I've been. You know, you read stuff and all that. It's like,
just go through the movement patterns without a ball. Just get in front of the mirror and work on that feeling, because you know you're in pretty good shape here. But yeah, that elbow is flying out a little bit. It should reattach. But again, the impact position is pretty good. Now, what would I change? Personally, I think, you know, you're connected. One of the premises in a good golf swing is the center. The inside moves the outside. So if the center of the chest moves at the same rate of speed the arms and the belt buckle move, the face can have limited movement, limited variation. But if you move your hands independently at a different speed, then you can have a lot of face rotation. So one of my things is I want to see this idea here where the center of the chest, the belt buckle, and the arms are swinging at the same rate of speed as you come into the ball. Which is indicated here. If you look at a pro, the center of his body and the shaft, they're moving together.
Yeah.
So, along with the pelvis, and this triangle that's formed between the arms and shoulders, you want to maintain that triangle. That's why I like this idea of connection. I like to see, because in my thoughts, I want the big muscles, the core, the trunk, they only move the arm. See, what most people do is they just swing their hands and arms, but they don't synchronize the two. So in my swing, I want to feel like the big muscles move the little muscles.
Right.
So I want to feel like the trunk and the pelvis, and when I take the club away, I got a sense that my trunk is moving my arm. It's not the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll help synchronize so that the face of the club is returning to square more consistently. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff here. We can make a couple little changes. One being, you know, we'll turn the. So my theory on teaching is I like to change everything prior to the execution of the shot that can control the direction of the ball, so you don't have to think. Yeah. So like I would flare your left foot a little bit. My goal for you is to see that right foot that Molinari's got.
Yeah.
That would be a goal. That'll improve your ball striking. But you do a good job. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, the head moves a little. But here's a good indication. Watch how you recover. Your head's going to back up right at the point of contact. So your brain has some sense of where your body is in space, which is good. A lot of people have no sensation for where their body is in space. Proprioception, it's what it's called. But you realize you're in front of the ball right here, and now your brain's saying, I better back up a little bit. I'm getting in front of it. So now you start to back up a little bit. You didn't quite save it, but you almost did. So anyway,
Okay.
I talked an awful